Many times musicians have arm problems, hand problems, and they're not relating that to something else other than, in other words, they're thinking of this in terms of the playing. I'm having pain when I play. But a lot of times it can be directly related to what you're not doing everywhere else. So you want to have a complete health, and that would involve, a little bit extra of upper body so you have good posture when you're playing. Now, you can't help it. When you really get involved in playing, you start contorting and doing things that it's just natural to do that. Many classical musicians are better at keeping themselves in check with that, but that's because they know what's coming next. They're totally aware because they've mastered the music from beginning to end, and it's memorized. When you're playing jazz or you're improvising, you don't know what's coming next, and sometimes what's coming out of you is even catching you by surprise, and you can tend to be getting involved in that and getting tensed up as you play because you're kind of fighting the battle of control. You want the line to come out, but you don't want it to get away from you, so it tends to show up in the neck and the back of the arms or the back, the shoulder blades. All of these things can actually be brought into control, if you will, or check by a good, steady practice, workout routine, maybe some push-ups and some bicep curls, some weights, light weights. Doesn't have to be heavy, but enough because you don't want to just do push-ups, but because that's going to get your triceps going. But you need to have your triceps engaged. You need to have some strength there because a lot of piano playing happens from the back of your arm. If you didn't know that, sometime be playing a scale or playing a run and look at the back of your arm or feel the back of your arm. I remember a long time ago when I first started teaching, there was a girl came in with a tank top on and she was playing, and I could not believe how much her triceps were moving as she was playing. And that's when I really started to realize I wasn't thinking enough about what was happening from here up and here and in the back. Sometimes we're just focused on getting the sound out and getting our fingers moving and doing the scales, and we get real fast and fluid at all of that, but we're not thinking about how this is all connected from here up too, and from here up. We need to be thinking about that. So if you're doing push-ups, you're actually doing great work for your triceps and your upper shoulders and your neck and your back and your posture and your front, your chest. Yes, but what about the biceps? So if you neglect these, then you have a pull on the part of the muscle that's trained from behind. So it's getting really good strength here, but it's like a rubber band pulling the opposite direction. You want to get it equal, and you do that by adding some weights to the front. So you can do some curls. You don't want a lot of weight because, again, this is going to tax the elbows and the joints where we need the most fluid ability and the most dexterity, limber. We need to be the most limber there. So when you're doing curls, you're compressing that. So that's why I always say if you do this, it's great, but then you've got to stretch out when you're going to go and play. So that's something to think about. You might really be much happier if you do some core work. You want to work on your abs, do some stretching from your lower body, and also do some weights for your biceps, and try some push-ups. And then stretch out before you go to the piano. Now, I know a lot of people who have looked at me like I'm crazy when I tell them they should maybe exercise a little bit, and it would help free the stress in their playing. But the ones who've actually gone and tried it have all come back and said, wow, I feel like $1,000,000. I feel totally different. It's just a side effect that you're going to feel better and be healthy. But it actually is better for your overall playing because you're much more relaxed, you have much more command over yourself, your posture, and you really can start to outflow with a lot of power, and your arms and hands and neck and back are not in the way. And that's really what you're going for, especially if you're thinking about doing improvisational music, where you can't predict what's coming. You're sometimes reacting to it as it comes. Sometimes you're actually hearing it and causing it, but you're open to both of those. And so you need to have a body that's not in the way. So we tend to call this mastering ourselves. It's not just about scales and arpeggios. It's essential to have that overall picture of health, that overall view. And it helps you feel better when you go to play. You just sit down and you totally have command over what you're going to do. So a good idea there. All right, and then of course you do want to stretch the arms before you go to play.